As hundreds of Trump supporters in their signature red MAGA caps and waving signs gathered at a fairground outside the tiny town of Butler, Pennsylvania, nobody had a clue what they were going to witness that day. What began as a cheerful rally turned into complete chaos, leaving former President Donald Trump injured with blood pouring from his ear, but miraculously still alive. Before Trump's speech in Wisconsin, none other than Hulk Hogan took the stage to entertain the crowd. Hogan brought his own flair to the event, turning the spotlight on his hero, Donald Trump, with all the charisma and excitement you'd expect from a wrestling legend. Hulk Hogan's message.
You know something, Trumpites? I didn't come here as Hulk Hogan, but I just had to give you a little taste.
This is Terry Bollea, better known by his wrestling persona, Hulk Hogan. Recently, Hogan delivered a speech backing WWE Hall of Famer Donald Trump. His speech was exactly what you'd expect from him. During his speech, Hogan brought up the recent assassination attempt on Trump. Then in true Hulk Hogan style, he ripped off his shirt to show a Trump Vance t-shirt underneath. The crowd went wild as he proclaimed that it was time to say enough is enough and declared that Trump mania would make a comeback and take charge once again.
Enough was enough! And I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother!
Hogan then began his speech officially by acknowledging his audience. He claimed he didn't come to this event in his professional wrestling character, but still wants to share a bit of that larger-than-life persona that people know and love.
My name is Terry Bollea, and as an entertainer, I love you too. And as an entertainer, I tried to stay out of politics. But after everything that's happened to our country over the past 4 years, and everything that happened last weekend, I can no longer stay silent.
But what does Hogan mean by this? He is simply saying that, although he usually avoids getting involved in political discussions, recent events in the country have compelled him to speak out. The last weekend event he refers to is pretty obvious by now. As we all know, Trump had a brush with death during the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee on Thursday, where he officially accepted the party's presidential nomination. But we'll come to that really soon.
I'm here tonight because I want the world to know that Donald Trump is a real American hero. And I'm proud to support my hero as the next president of this United States.
Hogan is declaring his support for Donald Trump, calling him a hero and expressing his pride in endorsing Trump for the upcoming presidential election. But this support doesn't just come from nothing, which Hogan doesn't fail to tell the audience. He went ahead to share a personal anecdote, emphasizing his long-standing relationship with Donald Trump.
The last time I was up on stage, Donald Trump was sitting at ringside at the Trump Plaza. I was bleeding like a pig, and I won the world title right in front of Donald J. Trump.
Hogan recalls a vivid memory from his wrestling career when Donald Trump was present at one of his matches. He describes how he won a significant match while Trump watched, and he knows for a fact that Trump will win the upcoming elections in November. He uses the metaphor of being champions to suggest that Trump's victory will bring success and positive change for everyone.
And you know something? He's gonna win in November, and we're all going to be champions again when he wins.
Hogan also praised Donald Trump for his undying patriotism and his straightforwardness. He emphasizes that Trump has always been honest and true to his beliefs.
And no matter the odds, he always finds a way to win. And when he's back in our White House, America is going to start winning again.
The wrestling champion believes that Trump has a knack for overcoming challenges and that his return to the presidency will lead to positive outcomes for the country. He also referred to himself, recounting that throughout his career, he has always been in the ring with some of the biggest, worst dudes on the planet, and he has squared off against warriors and savages and had to body slam giants in the middle of the ring. On that note, Hogan is drawing a line between his wrestling career and the challenges Trump faces. He describes his experience fighting great opponents to emphasize his understanding of what it means to be tough.
And I know tough guys, but let me tell you something, brother. Donald Trump is the toughest of them all. They've thrown everything at Donald Trump. All the investigations, the impeachments, the court cases, and he's still standing and kicking their butts.
He's not wrong. I mean, we've seen it all. Trump has faced numerous challenges and attempts to undermine him, but has managed to overcome them all in choosing to remain strong. He reminded Trumpites that back when Trump was president, things were much better. They had a thriving economy, strong borders, safe streets, peace, and respect around the world.
But then we lost it all in a blink of an eye. Crime is out of control. The border is out of control. The price of food and gas and housing is out of control. And the only person who can clean this up is Donald Trump.
Hogan believes that the country has deteriorated since Trump left office, with increasing crime rates, border issues, and rising costs of living. He thinks Trump is the only one who can resolve these problems. He expressed his deep love for the United States and his desire for future generations to have the same opportunities and success he has had.
This November, guys, we can save the American dream for everyone. And Donald Trump is the president who will get the job done.
Hogan is urging the audience to vote for Trump in the upcoming election, believing that Trump will restore and preserve the American dream. He then proceeds to warn those he sees as enemies of the country, criminals and corrupt individuals, that they will have to face Trump and his supporters, using his iconic wrestling catchphrase to emphasize his point.
So all you criminals, all you lowlifes, all you scumbags, all you drug dealers, and all you crooked politicians need to answer one question, brother. What you gonna do when Donald Trump and all the Trumpomaniacs run wild on you, brother?
Finally, he concludes his speech with a heartfelt blessing and thanks to his audience for their attention and support. Hulk Hogan is a retired American professional wrestler who is one of the most famous wrestling stars in history. Known for his iconic presence, Hogan was incredibly popular in the 1980s and is often considered one of the greatest wrestlers ever. Hogan left the WWF in 1993 to focus on film and television, but returned to wrestling in 1994 with World Championship Wrestling, WCW. There, he won the WCW World Heavyweight Championship 6 times, setting the record for the longest reign, Trump's shooting. So why was Hulk Hogan so fired up? I mentioned earlier that it was because of the incident where Trump had a close call with death. Let me elaborate. On July 13, 2024, Donald Trump, who is a former president and the leading candidate for the Republican Party in the 2024 presidential election, was shot in the right ear while speaking at a campaign rally near Butler, Pennsylvania. Just as Trump began his speech, a 20-year-old man named Thomas Matthew Crooks from Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, fired 8 shots from an AR-15 style rifle. He was positioned on the roof of a building about 400 feet away from the stage. Here's what happened with Thomas Matthew Crooks. He borrowed his father's rifle, an AR-15 style gun made by DPMS Panther Arms. It's a typical rifle with a 16-inch barrel, effective for the range Crooks needed. He then bought 50 rounds of ammunition from a gun store and got a 5-foot ladder. After that, he drove to the rally site with an explosive device in the trunk of his car. When he arrived, Crooks used the ladder to climb onto the roof of a building about 400 feet north of the stage where the rally was taking place. This building had 3 police snipers assigned to cover the rally, but none of them were on the roof due to a shortage of officers. Because his rooftop position was outside the Secret Service's security perimeter for the rally, Crooks did not go through any security screening. According to WPXI, Crooks was photographed twice by security officers before the shooting. Before 5:45 p.m. EDT, a police officer spotted Crooks on the ground, took a picture of him, and reported him as a suspicious person. An officer searched for him but couldn't find him. Several local law enforcement officers also noticed Crooks and thought he was acting strangely near the event's security checkpoints. They shared their concerns over the radio, and these communications were available to the Secret Service. At 5:45 p.m., a member of the Beaver County Emergency Services Unit saw Crooks on a roof and alerted other security teams, even taking a picture of him. In one of these instances, the officer noticed Crooks checking out the rooftop with a laser rangefinder, which is a tool used to measure distances. About 20 minutes before the shooting, Secret Service officers also spotted Crooks on the rooftop. Several bystanders saw a man on the roof with a rifle and warned the police about him just a minute and a half before he started shooting at Trump. One Butler Township police officer tried to climb to the roof to find Crooks, but was seen by Crooks. Crooks aimed his rifle at the officer, who then let go of the roof edge and fell 8 feet, severely injuring his ankle. Right after this confrontation, Crooks began his assassination attempt. Trump arrived on stage around 6:03 p.m., a few minutes into his speech at about 6:11 11 p.m., Crooks fired 8 shots into the rally crowd, hitting Trump and 3 other people. A Secret Service sniper quickly responded, killing Crooks just seconds later. As soon as the shots were heard, rally attendees shouted, "Duck!" There were 2 shots likely fired by law enforcement, one immediately after Crooks started shooting and another 16 seconds later. The Secret Service snipers had difficulty seeing Crooks because of the angle of the roof he was on, and for the northern sniper team, trees obstructed their view. Video footage of the incident showed Trump grabbing his right ear and then taking cover on the floor of the podium as Secret Service agents shielded him. After the agents helped him up, Trump appeared with blood on his ear and face. He either mouthed or shouted the words, "Fight, fight, fight." A photojournalist from the Associated Press, Evan Vucci, captured images of a bloodied Trump pumping his fist in the air with an American flag in the background. These images quickly went viral on social media and were praised as iconic and historically significant. Trump was then escorted off stage and taken to a nearby hospital, where he was treated and released in stable condition a few hours later. He made his first public appearance 2 days after the shooting at the 2024 Republican National Convention in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. In response to the shooting, President Joe Biden called the attack sick and said there is no place for such violence in America.
There's no place in America for this kind of violence, for any violence ever. Period. No exceptions. We can't allow this violence to be normalized.
Former Presidents Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, and Barack Obama also condemned the shooting, as did many international leaders. Due to widespread criticism of the security oversights at the rally, Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle faced pressure to resign, and Biden announced plans for an independent inquiry. Lawmakers called for increased security for major candidates in the election. Initial findings by the FBI revealed that Thomas Matthew Crooks, who borrowed the legally purchased rifle from his father, had no criminal record and no known motive for the attack. His social media posts and other writings did not indicate any specific political views. However, misinformation, disinformation, and conspiracy theories quickly spread on social media after the shooting. Sources told CNN that Crooks's online search history showed he had looked up information on Ethan Crumbley, the school shooter who killed 4 students at Oxford High School in Michigan in 2021. A screenshot of Crumbley's arrest photo was also found on Crooks' personal cell phone. The gunman had also searched online for instructions on making simple bombs and information about the Democratic National Convention. In April, 3 months before the assassination attempt, Crooks looked up information about major depressive disorders and treatments for a depressive crisis. Geolocation data from Crooks' cell phone showed that he had been near the rally site almost a week before the event, suggesting he might have scouted the location in advance. The day before the shooting, Crooks is believed to have visited a gun range. He also bought a ladder from Home Depot that day, although officials don't think he used it to climb to the spot where he opened fire. Additionally, he purchased ammunition from a local gun store called Allegheny Arms and Gun Works. Crooks told his boss at the nursing home where he worked that he needed the day off on July 13th for something important, according to officials familiar with the investigation. During the shooting, besides Trump, 3 other men were hit. Corey Compratore from Sarver, Pennsylvania, was killed. Compratore, who was 50 years old, worked as a project and tooling engineer and was the former chief of the Buffalo Township Volunteer Fire Company. According to his family and Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, he died while protecting his wife and 2 daughters from gunfire. 2 other audience members, David Dutch, age 57, from New Kensington, Pennsylvania, and James Copenhaver, age 74, from Moon Township, Pennsylvania, were shot and critically injured. Both men were reported to be in stable condition the following day. U.S. Representative Ronnie Jackson made an unverified claim that a bullet grazed his nephew's neck during the incident. Unfortunately, Thomas Crooks was shot and killed by Secret Service snipers. After his death, investigators searched Crooks in his car. Inside the vehicle, they found a bulletproof vest, several magazines for his rifle, and a makeshift explosive device. The FBI informed lawmakers that the Secret Service had excluded the warehouses north of Trump's stage, including the one used by Crooks, from its security zone. Investigators are still trying to determine a clear motive for the shooting. Voter records show that Crooks was a registered Republican, but there is no evidence suggesting that his political beliefs motivated his attack. One theory that investigators are considering is that Trump was a target of convenience rather than a specific ideological target, so you can see why Hogan couldn't take it anymore. Trump's response.
Let me begin this evening by expressing my gratitude to the American people for your outpouring of love and support following the assassination attempt at my rally on Saturday.
Former President Donald Trump made his first public appearance since the assassination attempt on Saturday. He spoke about how the incident has changed his perspective on life and deepened his faith in God. Trump, who is the Republican nominee for president, shared his thoughts on Wednesday during the premiere of Citizens United's film, Trump's Rescue Mission, Saving America. The event took place at the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee. In his speech, Trump emphasized how the near-death experience made him realize how fragile life is and the importance of faith. He explained that surviving the attempt on his life has given him a renewed sense of purpose and a stronger belief in a higher power. Trump thanked his supporters for their prayers and well wishes, and he expressed gratitude for the quick actions of the Secret Service and medical personnel who helped save his life. He also spoke about his commitment to making America stronger and safer, using his own survival as a metaphor for the resilience and determination he believes the country needs. The premiere of the film Trump's Rescue Mission, Saving America was a fitting backdrop for Trump's speech, as the show depicted his efforts to improve the nation. The event was attended by many prominent Republicans and supporters who cheered and applauded Trump's words, showing their support and solidarity. The 78-year-old former president stated that the bullet came incredibly close to killing him, just a quarter of an inch away from being fatal.
As you already know, the assassin's bullet came within a quarter of an inch of taking my life.
With his ear bandaged, Trump spoke to the happy audience.
Therefore, I will tell you exactly what happened, and you'll never hear it from me a second time because it's actually too painful to tell.
Trump recounted the moment of the assassination attempt. He was at the podium in Butler, giving a speech. During his speech, he turned to look at a screen displaying a chart, and that's when the incident occurred. He said he heard a loud whizzing sound and felt something hit him really hard on his right ear, and he said to himself,
"Wow, what was that? It can only be a bullet."
The next thing, he moved his hand to his ear, brought it down, and his hand was covered with blood.
I immediately knew it was very serious, that we were under attack, and in one movement proceeded to drop to the ground.
With photos of Mr. Trump bloodied on screens behind him, he added that the bullets continued to fly as very brave Secret Service agents rushed to the stage and pounced on top of him for protection.
There was blood pouring everywhere, and yet, in a certain way, I felt very safe because I had God on my side. I felt that.
The incredible part of the story is that just before the shot was fired, Trump managed to move his head at the very last second. If he hadn't, the assassin's bullet would have hit him directly, and he might not have been there to speak to the crowd that night.
If I had not moved my head at that very last instant, the assassin's bullet would have perfectly hit its mark, and I would not be here tonight. We would not be together.
When Trump told the audience in Milwaukee that he wasn't supposed to be here, the delegates responded by chanting, "Yes, you are," showing their support and relief that he was safe.
I'm not supposed to be here tonight. Not supposed to be here.
During his speech, Trump also took a moment to honor Corey Comparatore, the volunteer firefighter who was killed in the attack. He paid tribute by kissing Comparatore's fire helmet, showing respect for the fallen hero, making it the longest speech in the history of the convention. The four-day event ended with Trump being warmly welcomed and praised by his supporters. At the start of his speech, Trump adopted an unusually gentle and unifying tone as he officially accepted the Republican nomination for the presidential election on November 5th. He focused on bringing people together and expressing his commitment to the country. In a noticeable change from his usual fierce and aggressive style, Trump said he was running to be president for everyone in America, not just half of America, because winning for only part of the country isn't really a victory. He emphasized that he was more determined than ever to create a government that genuinely serves all Americans. Trump expressed his commitment to making positive changes for the country as a whole.
Despite such a heinous attack, we unite this evening more determined than ever. I am more determined than ever, and so are you. So is everybody in this room.
However, he quickly returned to his familiar criticisms of President Joe Biden's administration, which he accused of destroying the country. Without providing any proof, Trump suggested that his criminal charges were part of a plot by the Democrats. He also warned that Biden's leadership could lead to a potential World War III and spoke about what he called an invasion of migrants coming through the Mexican border. Trump repeated his unsubstantiated claim that the 2020 election was stolen by Democrats. Additionally, he argued that the ongoing conflicts in Ukraine Palestine and Gaza would not have occurred if he were still president. He said, "I could stop wars with a telephone call." As Trump finished his speech, his family and that of his running mate, Senator J.D. Vance, came onto the stage. Balloons fell from the ceiling, creating a festive atmosphere. Among those joining him on stage was his wife Melania, who doesn't often appear during the campaign. At the same time, there was increasing pressure on President Joe Biden to step back from the race for the White House. Turning to a different topic, let's talk about the hype surrounding Hulk Hogan. The speaker, who knows a lot about entertainment, took the opportunity to praise Hogan's impressive strength. Even though professional wrestling is often seen as just entertainment, the speaker highlighted that Hogan's physical abilities are genuinely remarkable. He shared a memorable moment when Hogan lifted a man who weighed 350 pounds and tossed him into the audience, demonstrating Hogan's extraordinary strength.
They may call that entertainment. I know about entertainment, but when he used to lift a 350-pound man over his shoulders and then bench press him 2 rows into the audience, I say maybe entertainment, but he is one strong son of a gun.
Trump pointed out that despite wrestling being a form of entertainment, Hogan's strength is very real and deserves recognition.
And I will tell you, I watched it many times. There aren't a lot of entertainers that can do that, right? You were fantastic. Thank you very much.